Well, hello. Every gal needs a cowboy hat.
Scanning the room, you look for a familiar face. Everyone is a stranger. Your heart's racing, you feel nauseous. New plan. You meet 4 new people. Okay, 3. 2? You can handle 2. And then you think, I hate this. This just feels so fake. And before you talk to even 1 new person, you're looking for the nearest exit.
Okay. Crazy. Yo, who invited this chick?
My heart races when I walk into a room full of strangers too. Except it's not anxiety, it's excitement. I'm not thinking networking quota. I'm thinking, look at all these stories. And I get so pumped about talking to people that I don't know.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Gail Robertson, and I am Chief Curiosity Officer at GailNow. And I do want it noted, I do not stink. Actually, I just heard on another live show today that, social media needs to be fun as well. We need to have a little bit of fun. And that intro video was done by my son. And, we often tease each other, and we have lots of stories we like to share that bring back memories. And so we're going to be talking a bit about that, about stories today. Now, I have a 3-step process: sign up, suit up, and show up. And the tool that you can use to work with those steps is curiosity. And today we're going to be digging into those 3 steps. We're going to be looking at curiosity and how it applies to something that my guess is everyone has used this at least once. Some people use it probably every day. Some people use it multiple times a day. Yes, I have a very special guest that I also met through online networking. I believe the first time I heard her was on something called the Global Tea Break. And what was really exciting about that was that there's so many people that I've connected with. So if you're listening on just while we're talking about networking and connecting and being able to watch, LinkedIn Live has been glitching of late. So I have put the link for YouTube. So I encourage you to come on over to my YouTube channel, subscribe there. And if you can, like this show, that always is a great help. I'm actually doing more work in the area of YouTube, and we'll be talking a bit about that with the guest today too. So there's a connection between the topic today is going to be about Google My Business, Google Analytics, and we're going to be touching upon YouTube and how does that all connect? So I'll let everybody just take some time to make sure you can head over to YouTube to settle in, get your drink of choice. And I want to welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. And now I want to welcome our very, very special guest today, Amanda Tento.
Thank you, Gail. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I am so glad to have you here, Amanda, because the power that is the internet, the power of what we're going to be talking about, Google. And we would not have likely met, or maybe there's a good chance we wouldn't have met if it hadn't have been even for the pandemic, I'll put in quotes.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not still looking to start a debate on today's show, but looking at how many of us were able to really tap in and use this World Wide Web and use Google, and the importance of making sure you stake your claim in the World Wide Web.
Yes. All of those things are very important. And I agree. We would not have met. And I wouldn't have met any of the people that I met through Global Tea Break, had I not met Scott on Clubhouse. So
there we go.
So it's just.
And how Scott and Alan Hennessy met in real life and then connected and then started the Global Tea Break. And then I met let's see. I think I met Alan through Twitter. There we go. How many social media platforms can we name in like less than 5 minutes? I met him through Madeline Sklar's Twitter Smarter. Follow the trail to his podcast. Listen to a podcast with you. Anyways, it's amazing that, and we're going to be talking about following the trail. So stay tuned, everybody. If you want to learn and really dig in deep on the power of Google My Business, because that's how I first heard Amanda, and I went, Amanda knows her stuff when it comes to Google My Business. So, okay, before we get started, I do want to welcome everybody in our studio audience today. And I see some people starting to move over from LinkedIn to YouTube. So please, head over there, comment, and let us know where you're from. And we're going to jump in a few minutes, but I just want to welcome some people that are over there. We have Inger, who's always doing double duty. So yes, thank you, Inger, for stopping by. And we have the amazing Katie McDermott, who she's on LinkedIn. And then she said, never mind, watch my YouTube again. LinkedIn's usually a good catalyst into other places. Yes. You know what? I don't know what's happening with LinkedIn, but their live streaming is causing some issues. So I was already starting to move over to YouTube. So this has kind of been a good transition now to move here. And so welcome. Katie is known as a manufacturing hype girl. And for everybody listening, we're going to be talking about today Google Analytics, Google My Business in the context of how manufacturing can use it. But we may touch upon some other areas as well, because Amanda does work with a few different areas. So, and Inger is from Toronto, Canada, fellow Connect like me. And Amanda, you're let's turn over to where you are and a little bit of, why don't we give some, wait a minute. I do want to welcome one more person here because Mike, good to hear that there was not my 3 martinis. Hey, Mike likes to bring humor to my show. I love when Mike comes in because Mike always sometimes drops comments like this. He's just a joy to have. I work with him. I met him. Well, we're both on the board of Canadian Association of Mold Makers. So cool. He is he knows, he is in his mind. He's got like a Google mind, I think, because he has everything filed away there about, and then we have, so Katie is from Central Wisconsin. Okay, keep on commenting, connecting. That's great. But now I want to switch over and give Amanda the platform now to give a little bit of history about how you got to focusing on Google My Business. So if you want to maybe tell a little bit about your background and what brought you here.
Yeah, I have a very interesting background. So I've been, I owned a brick and mortar business for years, and then in my 20s, and then I moved into nonprofit work, and then I moved into working at a credit union. Believe it or not, I was managing a credit union, and I became pregnant with our 3rd daughter. And I realized I don't want to do this. I don't want to miss all of the things for the school, and like I'd have to work from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I was like, I don't want to miss the 3rd child, because we were anticipating that was going to be our last child, and I didn't want to miss it. Like I don't want to miss all the little baby stuff. I didn't get to see any of that for the other 2. So I decided to start my own business, and I started out as a virtual assistant. And one of my clients, who I still work for today, is a marketing agency owner, and he was like, what do you want to learn? And I was like, SEO. And he's like, okay. And he paid for me to do some classes. And then I started managing some of his clients' Google My Business listings. And it was such a new thing to me. Like, I was like, wow, this is like really powerful. Like, you can actually go in and change all of these things and do all of these things. And at that point, that was like 5 years ago, there was really no one talking about it. Everything that I learned, I had to kind of learn on my own. It wasn't as widely talked about as it is now. And it is such an impactful tool. I've seen dozens and dozens of businesses change the trajectory of their business just with that one tool. So I was like, that's it. That's where I need to focus. I need to focus on something that is, not talked about as much, because I want to bring awareness to it. And I also want to help people change their business. So that's how I got started in it.
Well, you said a really key word, which is focus. And we've talked about that. We have worked together, and I remember when you mentioned SEO as well. So for people who maybe aren't aware, search engine optimization and I mean, there's a whole, like that could be, even within that, there's specialties within specialties. It's such a, I mean, I remember I used to hear that, oh yeah, SEO, but it's like, it goes deep into finding someone who really specializes, and it is a long game. It's not, you're not going to hire an SEO person and like everything magically happen.
Right.
But what I remember, what you told me is that a short form approach is to jump into Google My Business, because you can get, and I'm going to like maybe have you explain that for people that are looking at, gee, I want to do search engine optimization, but don't want to invest in it. It's too heavy of a lift. So can you explain why people listening today should instead maybe say, what's a shortcut, I guess?
Yeah. So Google My Business is the #1 ranking factor for your business. So your Google business profile is literally the first thing that Google considers in ranking your website, in ranking anything about your business. So that is #1. It takes up about 33% of about a million different ranking factors. So it's huge. So that's like #1. #2 is going to be positive Google reviews, which are also tied back to Google My Business. So if you have those two things going for you, you're going to automatically increase your SEO like right out of the gate. And it literally will change your business. And I've seen people go from like struggling to get clients to in about 6 to 9 weeks, like having more people than they can even handle for their business, having to hire teams, those kind of things, because of the impact. People who go to Google are ready to purchase. So that is the biggest thing to remember. They're not going to, poke around, like ask on Facebook, does anybody know like a nail salon that you like? Well, even if they do say like a nail salon that they like, they're still going to go to Google and look at the reviews, right?
Right.
So no matter where they hear about them, and I give this example of my mom because it's hilarious. My mom doesn't have internet. She refuses, like she barely has a cell phone. Like it's a miracle that she has a cell phone. Okay. That like a smartphone. So she's trying to remodel her bathroom, and she got a list from the bathroom showroom down the street from my house of all these different contractors. And she literally went on Google and Googled every single one, wrote down their star rating, how many reviews they have. And she doesn't know even what I do, to be honest. She has no clue what I do. And I thought it was hilarious that my mom in like her 70s is like going and Googling and just trying to find out like all of this information because she can, right? And that's the thing. You need to make sure that you can give a good representation of your business, your brand, and everything, not only to Google, but also to your prospective clients. So,
and what I like about that story is that it shows the connection between, even though she wasn't technically online, she used a piece of paper. And people don't really get this, that, people don't have to be really that caught up in being on social media, because they're going to hear about it or they're going to ask someone, and someone else will do the research and tell them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And because we're talking now, one of the things in the world of manufacturing, so yes, that works a lot of times for the bricks and mortar, the quick hit purchases. Now in manufacturing, in the world I'm in, which is mold making, there can be a long buying cycle. So they could go months, even a year longer before they even want to, maybe even like they're still in, development mode. Yeah. So what would you say about why Google My Business for manufacturing?
There's still going to be that research, right? They're still going to do their due diligence. They're still going to try to find out how it was to work with you as a manufacturer. If you can give them real testimonials from people that, I think the biggest thing about Google is like, you could put testimonials on your website all day long. Nobody knows if they're real or not, right? Google has a pretty strict spam filter as far as when it comes to reviews. A lot of reviews that are legit don't even get to Google because their spam filter for reviews is so strong. So if a client leaves you a review and it doesn't get there, it's probably because Google thought it was spammy. So But that is a really tried and true way to collect reviews. It's like 97% of people make that decision to look at your reviews before they purchase from you. So it's really important to have them there and collect them. It seems silly maybe from a manufacturing standpoint to, go to like a big client and say, hey, would you leave me a Google review? It seems like, it seems tiny because we do the same thing for hair and nails and dentists and doctors and things like that. But it's really, really important because your reputation is what people are trying to find out. Did they deliver on time? Like there's just so many factors that go into it that are going to be really, really important. And it's going to help that prospective client or prospective partner, whatever that case might be, to make that decision a lot quicker. And they see 20 positive Google reviews and they're like, okay, well, at least 20 other companies have worked with this company and they feel, satisfied. So I think that's a really important part of the manufacturing part of it.
Yes, that is. Thank you for answering that and giving context, because as you know, in the world I work in, sometimes there's almost a feeling that because the nail salons and the hair places use it, like we can't use it in the big world. And I often hear this, it's like, well, that works in B2C, not in B2B. But I always say it's really H to H, it's human to human too, as well. It's really not that different. The same principles apply. You may adjust your tactics, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, the process I talk about, the sign up, suit up, and show up. So we've talked about, so the sign up part is really mindset. You have to decide you want to do this, but then, and this is the real key part, then you have to put steps in place.
Actually doing it. Yes.
Actually doing it. Yes. Actually doing it. And then the suit up. So I want to talk a bit about suiting up, because this is where you touched upon this, the idea that, Google is like, it's a word, like we use it, go Google that. Like it becomes so powerful. And we talked before the show, it's like, okay, we can name maybe a couple of it, but not easily. Like if you go out and ask people and said, okay, go search something, I would bet, I don't know, I can't see anybody not, if you said, go look this up, if anybody would automatically use anything other than Google. I bet it's the exception. It's the person, like when I'm in a room and I say, who doesn't like chocolate? It's the one person.
Yeah. And their life's mission is not to like chocolate. So
yes. Well, I actually say there's always someone who doesn't like chocolate. There's always someone who will like either liver, Brussels, like that. It's like there's going to be those people. Yeah. I'm one of those people. I actually like everything. So if you said there's not a food, if someone else makes me any type of food,
that's awesome.
I'm not, people have tried to trip me up on things. I'm like, nope, eat that. I've had that because I've traveled. I sometimes have traveled and have eaten things I'm not even sure what.
Wow.
Close enough.
Yeah, I am not that adventurous.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So in terms of how the strength of Google, let's switch over and give maybe a bit more evidence, I guess, that of the power of using Google My Business, because there's also Google Ads, there's other things, but I think if we're just starting, where to start that is the easiest and the simplest is Google My Business. What might Google Analytics tell us about why we should use Google My Business?
So Google Analytics is extremely powerful, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. Sorry, Gail. Okay. But you must set up your Google Analytics for now. Before the end of the year, because on July 1st of 2023, they're going to shut down Universal Analytics, and they're only going to store 6 months of your data, which means that you're only going to have from January to June, right? So if you have a data gap, which you are kind of already going to have from, if you don't have it set up from July through December, then you're going to be in kind of a shortage of information. So definitely get that set up now. Yeah.
Listen to that. You're right. I'm so glad you brought this up, because everybody put this in your calendar. I just wrote it down myself because I know about it. And I'm like, oh yeah. But I've got to before the end of the year.
Yeah. So basically, imagine yourself in like October of next year, and you have no idea what happened in like October of this year. You know, like what is my traffic increasing? Who's coming to my website? Where are they coming from? All of that stuff. So that's my little tangent about Google Analytics. But Google Analytics is going to be able to.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I have a quick question about that before we go on. So, will all the historical information be gone too? Like
from what I understand, yes. So they're only going to store, like I said, the last 6 months. So if you like from the day that you start up, you know, your GA4, then you're now going to have that data. So if you start it today, then you're going to have data from October 12th on. But it's something that's really important to make sure that you've done.
And how hard is it to do this? And do they need, like, is this bringing in someone like yourself, or do you need to, like, what's needed usually to switch?
You just really need to drop a piece of code into your website. If you know how to do that, that's easy. And you can also set up some different streams. So people that have an app, like a mobile app, there's going to be a different stream for that. And the cool thing about Google Analytics 4 is that it combines user information. So if someone is on your app and then they go to your website, it's going to track that same user instead of double like tracking. So right now, Universal Analytics, you know, you have to track a certain way, and it counts that person twice generally. So it's just going to give you more accurate information. And it's going to be easier to get that information all in one dashboard. So
thank you for that, because I do want to do just a sidebar here on Google Analytics, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because I've heard you speak with that, and that's really powerful. The other thing for anybody out there listening right now and going, what? Google Analytics? I don't know. Because I've even gone in sometimes clients that said, oh, do you have your Google Analytics on your website? Yep. And then I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, do you have your reports? Like, what are you pulling from it? What do you know from it? And then they look at me like, so I actually say, you know, there's not little fairies that come in at night and just like pull these reports for you. So I do pull for my clients like monthly.
That's great.
I can see the tracking. So I keep track of that. So for anyone that needs help with that, I would say, you know, you can reach out to myself, even if you just have some questions, reach out to myself or Amanda. And as I said, Amanda and I have done work together. So, and we can talk more about that too, about how, why people like us work together. Cause some people say like, oh, like, cause there's some things you do that I would do, but we have this is where the relationship is that, you know, I always say there's enough business to go around for everyone. So, and because of the area of specialty that I'm in, I also know when to reach out to an expert like yourself for certain things. And that's where we've worked together. So, I love that what you do is you actually you educated me about it. So, okay. So let's go back to what you're going to say. I think there's something else you want to say about Google Analytics.
Yeah, that was my do it now tangent. And now we can talk about what your original question was, you know, how does that influence Google Business Profile, you know, tracking and things like that. So Google Analytics is amazing because you can literally see everywhere that your traffic is coming from. So you can see what website it's coming from. You can see what social media platforms it's coming from. You can see how many people came from each platform. You can see what they clicked on. I mean, it's just so detailed. There's so much information there, and it can be overwhelming if you're not used to looking at it. But I really, really suggest that either you have your marketing team looking at it regularly, like Gail, or you just spend, I don't know, a couple hours and watch a YouTube video or something and get familiar with it yourself, because those metrics are really important. If you're pouring, you know, money into anything in marketing, and you can literally just look at your analytics and see if it's driving any traffic to your website, and then be like, oh, maybe we need to talk about that. Maybe we need to revisit that strategy. So that's a really important part. But Google My Business literally drives traffic to your website. Okay. I have one of my clients, I have one of their yearly reports pulled up for their first year of working with us, and they had 2,361 visits to their website just from Google Business alone, right? So this is a really, really powerful tool to drive traffic. If you're using it the right way, if you're managing it, it can be that tool that increases, your business. It increases your revenue. It increases those inquiries that you get for, new clients. It can be the difference between not succeeding or kind of spinning your wheels and not knowing what that one thing is that's missing, and being the thing that changes things.
And I want to add too, because I know for myself, until I really understood, because if you go search, I always tell people, go search some things and see. Here's the thing. Google likes Google, and Google likes when you do what they tell you to do when you're using their thing. So it's like, I always say, like, if you understand, this is where people like us come in, because we have done all this research. We know which, like I always say, like an algorithm, right? I mean, you don't want to, it's like, you don't want to do keyword stuff, and you don't want to do things just to satisfy the algorithm, but you want to have a great story, and you want to promote yourself, and then invest in the right places.
Yes.
And Google, when you go to search something, why is it important? Now, I'm kind of leading question here, because what comes up right away that you don't have to pay for?
Right. And that's organic searches, and that's Google Business Profile. So it is really important, even if someone Googles your company name because they've heard of you, most likely they're looking to either call you, they're looking to visit your website, they're looking for reviews, right? So those are going to be the three main things that they're looking for. And so Google Business Profile is literally created to give people all of that information in a little dashboard. So then that way they don't have to leave Google, because Google really doesn't like it when people leave Google. They want people to live there, right? Okay. And so Google Business Profile allows people to live on Google, not have to leave, and just one-click phone number, one-click website, one-click directions, one-click to see your reviews. So all of those things are really important, and they all deserve to be there. And if your business doesn't have their listing up, or it's incomplete and may not even show up when someone searches for it, that's a big problem.
And the other thing, because I've heard this, well, all they're using it is like to click on the map or the phone, use the phone. Why is that important?
There is basically a path of least resistance. So in any type of marketing, the more clicks people have to do, the tireder they get. So imagine like each click is like a flight of stairs. Like, I'm going to click here. Okay. Does their website have? Nope. I can't find it on their website. I'm going to click the next page. Contact. Nope. I can't find it on there. Like, there's just so many, and they're going to eventually give up, click back 3 times really quick, and go back to Google, find another company. That's just kind of how it works. So if you have that accessibility, it doesn't matter if they call you through Google or they call you through your website, as long as they're calling you, right? That's the most important thing.
Is there any benefit to people using it for the map and the phone call? Like, just does Google like that you've used that as opposed to going to the website? Is there any, I don't know, is there any benefit in terms of Google presenting you in other areas? Do they sort of go, oh, lots of people are going there, we like this company? Yeah.
So the more that Google displays you, the more kind of, what would you call that? Like trust, authority that you're building with Google.
Yeah.
And so Google likes when it gets things right. I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yes.
They actually just did a huge algorithm update last month called the Helpful Content Update. And they basically want to be answering the question that you're asking right away, right? And they want to display the best content to just, answer that question. So if you're answering that question right away, they're going to display you right away. They want to be right about whatever it is. So whatever your search query is, so the consumer's search query is, they want to make sure that they're displaying the best result. If people are clicking on your result, they're clicking on the map, they're clicking on phone calls, that gives Google the signal that, like, yes, this was the right thing. That's good. So it's going to build that authority up. Another thing that will eventually happen is it will also start displaying you in what's called a chain result. So if you go to Google and you type in anything and somebody's Google Business Profile comes up, you scroll all the way to the bottom, there will be like 3 little squares of other businesses. And it says you may also be interested in these 3 other businesses, and they're very similar businesses doing the same thing that you do. But eventually, if you get enough kind of authority with Google and clicks and it learns more about your business, you're going to be displayed on other people's Google business profiles. So.
And that's what, thank you for that, because that is also, and I love that you said about the update to the algorithm and why it's so important for people, and even people like myself, why we all stick together a little bit, because you have expertise. And I love that, you know, this is where it's really important to lean into people that are in this marketing world that focus on specialized areas.
Yeah.
And so that's great, that helpful content, right? So anything you can do to please Google.
Exactly. We want to tell it what it wants to, well, what the searchers want to hear, you know, like that's basically what it is.
Yeah. And I know I just touched on that why I was asking some people to come on to YouTube, because YouTube, owned by Google, also when you search for something, if you put a video up, your video, Google likes that. So you're also going to go. So there's some checkpoints that, and I know we're both working this world of marketing, is that our role is to bring to the forefront for our clients. Okay, here's the thing. Like, we're not just suggesting these things because we pull them out of the air and go, oh, let's do it. There's usually a really good reason, so that we can answer to Google, we can answer to the algorithms of the various platforms as well.
Exactly. And I do want to point out that you had asked a question before about manufacturing and how often to post. And I think maybe we should go into even like what is posting, because
thank you. Yes, because
that's a whole nother thing.
So I just want to say, Google My Business, what you need to do. And this is where I work with Amanda to get the basic foundation. You want to make sure you get your foundation set up properly. So that's sort of step one, right? Getting, as with anything, I think any platform that you're starting, make sure the foundation. So once you've done all of the work, and I'm going to leave that, there's people can go search on your page or talk to me about that and getting that done. So get your Google My Business, and then what? So you now are set up, you've got your phone number, you've got your address, everything's there. Now what?
Yep. As long as your profile, we call it optimized. So as long as your listing is optimized, you have everything filled out, you have all of the right pictures in place, you have all of the right products, services, everything is complete, then you need to manage it. And managing it is, one, updating your hours when you go on vacation, when your plant is closed, when there's a holiday, when any of the things that happen, you need to make sure that it's updated, right? So that's one part of managing it. Another part is posting photos regularly. Another part is posting updates. And there are several different kinds of updates that you can do. COVID brought us the COVID-19 update. So we can update any changes to our COVID policies, like masks are required, masks are not required, staff gets temperature checks, all of those things. That's the first update that you can do now on the profile. And that was introduced in 2020. Then there's an offer post. So you can literally create an offer of some sort. A lot of brick and mortar businesses do this, and it really, really works well to drive traffic. And you can also create a product post. You can post a specific product or service. And then you can create a what's new post, which I consider to be just like a general update. And those are the ones that I use the most. And you can pretty much post anything. So you post a really nice photo or video. The video can be up to 30 seconds. So it has to just be under 30 seconds for that. And then you can post up to 1,500 characters. I like to call this, as well as your description, a gift from Google, right? Because where else on the internet can you actually input words into Google's algorithm? Where, right? So it's going directly into Google's system. You have the opportunity to present Google with keywords. You have the opportunity to present location keywords. You have, there's just so much potential in every single post. And then you have 6 different calls to action that you can choose from, like book now, learn more. I think learn more is the one that I use the most.
Me too.
There's just different calls to action that you can put in there to drive people to your content, or to call you. There's a call now button. So if you're not posting, you're missing a huge opportunity to give Google more signals about what your business is about, who you should be serving, and what searches you should be coming up for. So it's huge.
Now, what about putting any like hashtags? Is there anything that should be used in that what's new when you're doing those posts, or just write it like as people?
You really want to focus on just text. Google does not like phone numbers. It does not like links. It does not like pretty much anything in there except for the text of, that description. So I would stay away from hashtags. I would stay away from phone numbers, links, anything like that, even addresses, because you want to use those 6 call to action buttons to direct people to where you want them to go.
And there's something I was just going to ask about that adding photos too. Updating. So keep adding, like, should you be adding photos regularly every month? Yeah. Update some new ones, keep adding.
I would say whatever photos that you use when in your posts, add them also as photos, because eventually they're going to go to the bottom of the queue. Nobody's going to be able to see them. But if you put them in photos, at least those photos are always going to be there. So
okay, that's a good idea, because I was assuming maybe the photos from the post don't go in. That's a separate. You got to put them. Okay.
Yeah, you have to manually put them in, which is kind of a bummer, but it's also
I am reminded now of why you are the Google My Business expert on this, because there's so much and it's so valuable, right, to use it. So and what I really like about this, because when I work with clients, I mean, the goal is you want to show up, right? So at the end of the day, you want to show up, I would say, for sales, for retention, for recruiting, and showing up on Google is so important.
It is. It is. It's the number 1 ranking factor.
Number 1.
If you're not doing it, then you're wondering why you're not ranking. Then
and you said 33%.
Yes.
Wow, that's like. So by the time you add in the everything else, you're probably at about 50% here. It's like it's like kind of like if you do nothing else, you've got to make sure that you're doing this. And I think you're right. People do. One of the reasons what really interested me to do this, bring this into the manufacturing world, is most people in manufacturing do not think of this, because they think, again, I'm not a nail salon, I'm not a salon, I'm not a restaurant, I'm not this, and it's it really is a lost opportunity if you're not doing it.
It is, because you have the ability, the gift from Google. You have the gift from Google that you are neglecting to use. And that is an easy way to get some local SEO juice and that kind of thing. And even just national SEO, because you're using those keywords like mold manufacturing or whatever those particular terms are that apply to your business. If you write a short post about that, put it in there, and Google is picking that up and knowing it's tied to your website, it's tied to your phone number. Google knows all of the things. So they know where you are. Exactly. But like, even when you look at your Google My Business, it automatically detects if you have a LinkedIn page. It automatically detects if you have a Pinterest page, if you have a Instagram, if you have a Facebook page. All of those things are automatically detected by Google on your Google My Business. You can't add them. So knowing that, and knowing that you have the ability to put in that content as many times as you want, you can post every day if you want. It's huge. It's a huge gift.
It is. So. It is. Like you said, it's definitely a big gift. And what type of store did you have back in your 20s? You mentioned you had your own business.
A ceramic studio, a paint your own ceramic studio.
I remember doing that. That was kind of a very cool thing, to paint your own ceramic. Cool. So that's another thing we have in common, because transferable skills. My background is as a journalist, so I always said my superpower is storytelling, because I know a good story. That's it. I know. I mean, lots of people can maybe, that's a story, but I know the difference between what's a story that's going to get noticed and get you out into the spotlight. And then I read A Bed and Breakfast, so that was that's where awesome. I learned about a website. And working with a tourist operators group, I helped pulled that all together. Again, collaboration, and I was the first person to get a toll-free number, which
Woohoo! That's
like
awesome.
in this community, right? So it was,
Yeah.
and it's amazing how, because what I did was, I always say in marketing, you know, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, SWOT.
Right.
And I heard this one time at a course I took, and they said, yeah, strengths are important. Yeah. Weaknesses, yeah. Okay. Threats, opportunity. And the instructor flipped it around and said, what you should focus on first, opportunity.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're good at. It doesn't matter what you're weak at. What it matters is where's the opportunity, and then use your strengths.
Yes.
Focus on that. So,
oh, I love that. That's awesome.
So Google My Business, a big opportunity. So let's skip over oh my God, there's so much we can talk about, but I did want to focus on the power of Google and Google My Business, because in manufacturing, it's crucial that, you know, it's kind of like you're leaving money on the table. Like it's easy money, because the other thing is very few other people in manufacturing, except people listening to GailNow right now.
Right, exactly. That's so true.
You want to tune in every week to hear these little gems and get ahead of everybody. So let's go back to our studio audience. There's a few comments in there that'll give us a little chuckle, and then I want to come back and just hear a little bit more about you, and also the last question I usually ask people is, how do you exercise your curious mind? So that you can be thinking about that. So
okay.
We had Katie said Mike joins the party. Yes. And Inger says, wow, go mom. When you're talking about your mom, tell your mom she got a shout out.
Yeah. Awesome.
You know,
she has no idea what LinkedIn is. So
that's great. Tell her she was on YouTube on a global show she made.
I might share the link. We'll see.
Yeah. And Katie says, I use Apple products, and I still, you know what? That's me too. I use Apple. Yep. Oh, and then we were talking about food. Inger says, even haggis. And I will tell you, then Katie says, it is not gross. It is actually delicious. Well, if you have to kind of like liver. If you like liver and pate, it's kind of a combination. And it is, I love haggis. So don't knock it till you try it. That was what my mom used to say. Don't knock it till you try it. So I did grow up though having it, and it does taste different depending on who makes it. But
yeah.
My pen is hot. I'm writing so fast. Great stuff, Gail and Amanda. Yes, Katie. And we'll talk about this about Google My Business. Wow, Amanda, you definitely are the queen of Google My Business. Yes, we'll have to, that could be your hashtag. See, we have, because we know David Chrysler, when he's here, we call him the king of process. Katie says, if you aren't on Google, are you even real?
No, honestly, that's a huge thing. Like people don't, it's something that it increases your validity as a business. So
when I can't find someone on Google, I'm like, no. And then then part of me goes, okay, then you want to stay hidden. Like that's fine too. Some people want to stay. If you can avoid being on Google, then you're hidden. I think I'm the opposite. I just recently this come up. I said, oh, did they see my TikTok? Because see, I didn't plan on my TikTok being too public. I was just going to go on there and muck about. And I really just wanted to learn how to use it and learn to do some video editing. And then all of a sudden it got out of control. People started saying, I saw you on TikTok. I'm like, shh, what?
Yeah.
I love your own ceramics. We have a cool place in there that also does do yourself mosaics and glass and other crafts like that. Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Katie says, I like liver and pate. I can't believe you like it. Good for you. Do you like cilantro? Yes, I do like cilantro. And if you like liver and pate, okay, we got to talk. You might like haggis more than you realize, because people always get, you know where it comes from? Again, it's a stereotype. People didn't like haggis because they heard it was initially way back when it was in a sheep's stomach. But guess what? What do you think sausage is put in? It's intestines, people. So
it is.
People, you know, it's like when people say, ooh, you know, like one time I had a friend, her parents would eat like a worm taco in Mexico. And I said, we eat snails, but we just call it escargot. But I don't know.
Just fancy it up. And it's like what you don't know isn't going to hurt you as long as you're still alive after you eat it, right?
This goes back to mindset. It's all, if probably if you handed me a worm taco, I would be like,
no, thank you.
I just say, don't tell me, just put it in and tell me it's chicken.
Yeah.
Tell me it's something else. But So just to celebrate you, because Amanda, you have you also have a podcast, the Determined Mom podcast, which is, I really love that you have niched in a couple areas. One is obviously Google My Business, but you also have your own podcast, which I encourage people to check out. You have some amazing guests. You had Rachel Peterson on.
Yeah, she was just on not that long ago. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is. Wow. I mean, just amazing. So I congratulations on that. So we can check you out there. And if anyone is curious and say, okay, I know Gail, I know Amanda, you know what, just either talk to one of us. If you're in manufacturing and you want to talk to me about it, let me know, because I would be more than happy to coordinate and help coordinate something with Amanda too. Because the one thing I've learned too is, you know, this is where you have areas of expertise. Myself in manufacturing, you in the area of Google. So, and you can you share the other news I just found out today, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, we are expecting our 4th child, so that's exciting. Yay. Yeah.
And you now have 3 daughters.
Yes, and it's finally a boy. So that's exciting. Everybody, all of the girls are excited. My husband's, everybody's excited, because honestly, I think the girls are tired of the girls, you know, like they're tired of playing with each other and they want to do something a little different. So yeah, I think they're excited for that reason.
I have a son who I adore, and people often hear me talking about him. And as I said, he did my video. And I mean, but there are times I miss having a daughter, because daughters are more like, you know, they want to talk to you and they like, whereas boys are like generally, well, my son, it's almost like there's talking, but it's rare. It's almost like a rare sighting. And then it's like, oh, he's talking to me. This is great. Whereas daughters like,
yeah. Well, imagine having 3 of those all the time, though. It's a little rough sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? That's why I say be careful what you wish for, right?
Exactly.
So, but sometimes I think, that's why I say, can I borrow some girls? I thought so. I have some friends with daughters, and I do. But you're right. I probably would go. I probably should be grateful that. I always think too, God gives us what we can handle. And,
exactly.
I think I was one child, you know.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Anger goes back. She says, I was a bit alarmed when I Googled myself a few months ago. I think, and one other time we'll talk about that. I think alarmed more in the sense of like, you know, all the information that's out there, you sort of go, whoa, there's a lot more.
Yes, definitely.
LOL, Amanda, but did you die?
Exactly. If you're still out on the other side, I said that when we were talking about eating things.
Right.
You just have to not necessarily know what's there. Just eat
that's
it,
right.
If you're still alive, then you're good.
That's right. I'm still alive, and I remember one time being in. Congrats again to you and your family. Where was I?
Thank you.
Indonesia, and a friend of mine had stopped this place, and we went in a place no one spoke English, and we were kind of guessing at. Okay, that and that. Anyways, I was eating this dish, and at the bottom were these peppers, and they were like peppers like I've never had peppers. And I was like, oh, my throat's on fire. And I went up, and they were all kind of laughing. But I said rice, because I knew white rice, and I actually packed my mouth with rice and held my mouth because the water would just make it go worse.
Yeah.
Right? That was my memorable. But the best part was them all chuckling because they probably thought I should. I go, no, I can eat spicy. Well, I can eat spicy, just peppers here.
Yeah. That's funny.
So boy, mom, woohoo, 3 boys here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Inger says, oh, just a little rough. Alarmed because of the size of my digital footprint. Yes. Yeah. No, it's everything. It's out there. I often think that sometimes I'm like, one day, how am I going to feel about some of my TikToks?
Yeah. You want to be like taking up the first 20 pages of Google, right? Like, I think that's a goal. Like, you want to make sure that like when someone Googles your name, you're on like the first 20 pages. I'm not there yet, but someday.
There we go. That'll be, I'm going to have, I haven't done a count. I'll have to go back and do a count. Oh, we have the king of process is here. Tuning in late. Good afternoon. Hello, David. I don't know if you two know each other, but definitely. Oh, David, you must get to know Amanda. Yes, you'll probably want to watch this again too. He says, yes, sounds like Mr. Great. Yes, in terms of Google My Business, manufacturing, what you're doing, especially because David has such a niche of process. So, and also in manufacturing, but he is very focused on how to simplify process as well. When I first heard him speak, it was same thing. What caught my attention was it's simple but not easy.
Yeah.
And I think we sometimes think like we know what we need to do with Google My Business, and yet even you've given me a proverbial kick in the butt. I need to do a few more things to update, so it's on my list. And definitely Google Analytics. I'm going to get on that. That's
definitely.
David, we did talk about that, and if you want, we can talk offline about why we need to get our Google Analytics updated as soon as possible. So let's see, what else have we missed? Well, let's jump into how do you exercise your curious mind?
I am probably perpetually curious. So I am always learning something new. You can ask me on any given day, like, what were you working on this week that you were learning? What was, that kind of thing. Or I'm always trying to find the right person for the right thing, or connect people, or there's just always something going in my brain. Like right now I'm working on a couple of courses for marketers. For one, it's for virtual assistants, and one is for marketers. So how to add Google Business Services to your agency. So it would include like all of the training. It's going to include absolutely everything that you need to know, from pricing all the way down to the technical, abilities, how to do it properly, how just everything that you need to know, how to hire staff to do it for you, maintain profit margin, all of those things. So that's kind of what I'm working on now before the baby comes. And I just always have something in my mind that's always going, and I'm always curious about learning something. New technology is one of my Achilles heels, because I'm always looking for something better than what I have, as far as reporting or posting or anything. Making things easier is my goal.
Love that. And yes, you are curious. Just, if you have an interest in Google, the one thing is Google is this like amazing place. And I often say too, though, there's also a way you have to know how to use Google. Because if you just go search on the first page, I sometimes purposely go deeper into the Google search engine. And I also look at the source. So I try to cross-reference and then sometimes you have to go other places, because Google, there is, especially of late, there has been censorship on something. So I kind of go, that's where I like different platforms, because there's other information that Google doesn't present to you as well. Some of that's on purpose too. So as great as Google is, it also, there is censorship. They do hold some things you're not, because I've done that purposely, went to look for things, and
it's not there.
Not there. And that's a topic of another day we're going to be talking about, because I am very much against that. I have a lot of thoughts on that. But anyways, today is more about how to use Google to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And there was something else I was going to ask. What was it about? So what next for you? What do you have next on the front? Well, obviously a new child coming. When are you due?
January.
Okay.
Yep.
2023, baby.
Yeah.
And then, so 4 kids, that's, well, way to go.
Time management is a big thing in our house. For me, and every minute of my time is managed, and so
yeah, that is, well, the one thing, like you said, that is what David Kreisler talks about in terms of process is, how to set up a process to make things easier too. And I know what I was going to say. So for anyone listening right now, especially if you're into marketing and you're like, well, I could maybe go learn from Amanda, but I don't really have the time. And I think this is the case, but because I know we've done in the past, is that you might also white label something. So if someone wanted to come work with you, and then they as an agency could put it together to take it to their client, but you would work with the person to, again, depending on how much work, and you would do some of the work in the background, kind of like a ghostwriter.
Yes, we actually do a lot of private label work, and we see huge results. We provide monthly reporting. It's just a really easy way for you to make money, to help your client, and for us to help you. So yeah, it's a very simple process.
That is cool. I may talk to you about my own, because you know what? It's always the cobbler's shoes, right? Or there's some things I keep. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do mine. When I get all my client work done, and then it's like, there it is. It's like,
Yes, that's exactly right.
that is amazing. Okay. Is there anything else you want to mention? I know we did talk, today's focus was on Google My Business, but anything else you want to talk about? And Google Analytics, making sure you get that set up.
Yes.
For people that are tuning in late, definitely make sure you do two things. One is get your Google Analytics switched over to, what is it?
Google Analytics 4, so GA4.
GA4. That's
Mhm.
step number one. And step number two is if you don't have a Google My Business set up, to do that immediately, or
Yes.
reach out to myself, or reach out to Amanda, or both, or as long as you get it done. So, or
Yeah.
go online and ask
Yeah.
how to do it. But like anything, I always say sometimes it's better to call in an expert and get it done
Yes.
properly. So,
Yes.
yeah, unless you want to fix your own drain, which I cannot do. No, I don't do that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'll pay for the experts sometimes.
Yeah. And another thing that I'm going to plug Scott here, D. Scott Smith.
Yes.
I recently had him on the podcast, and he was talking about publishing your Amazon book and all of those things. And of course, I still haven't done it after knowing him for a couple years now. And so I'm going to be publishing some books coming up here soon. I realize that I have a ton of content that needs to be out there for the people that do not listen to podcasts, because I know that there are a specific niche of people that like podcasts, and there's people that like books. So this is for the people that like books. So all of my knowledge and information is going to be in books soon. So
now, will you be working with D. Scott on that?
I'm taking his course, his 12-week course right now. So I feel like I'm on like week 6 or 7 maybe of that. And and eventually once I publish, then I'm hoping that I'll be able to get into his mastermind and kind of promote it a little bit more and learn his ways. So.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. Well, it definitely, D. Scott Smith is another amazing person and I think we have a global tea break event coming up. Is that this Friday?
I don't know. I'm not sure when it is. I have to look.
I think it is this Friday. So for anyone that's curious and goes, oh, what are they talking about these? I think it is Friday. Maybe it's next. No, it might be
pulling
next.
Up my calendar.
Might be next week. It's next week, the 21st.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyone wants to know anything, please get in touch with me, and you're welcome to join in. It's a global community. It is amazing. I even on times when I'm like, oh, I've got so much going on, and I pop in, and then I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did. I was meeting amazing people. So I'm like you, Amanda. So I had to meet you over like in a show that's based kind of in Ireland, right?
Yeah. So. It's who knows how the world works, but it does. So that's all we need to know.
I do like that for sure. I like how the world works. Yeah. Okay. I'll just, if you can go in the green room, I'll meet you there. And I want to just thank you again for coming and shedding a light on the power of Google.
All right. That sounds good. Thank you for having me, Gail.
Thanks, Amanda. Oh, whew. Well, that was an exciting day today. I want to thank everybody for joining in. If you are on LinkedIn, we did have a few glitches today, so we moved over to YouTube. I would encourage everybody, please, if you can like the like button on the show today. And also, if you think someone can benefit from this, please tell them to come back and watch the show. And if you can subscribe to my channel as well. YouTube is an area, speaking about how I exercise my curious mind. For me, YouTube, I've been involved in some training now for a while and planning to do more as I go into next year. Lots of opportunities here on YouTube. Still love LinkedIn, also love Twitter. So there's benefits to all the platforms just for different reasons. And that is part of the work I do with GailNow when I'm working from a strategic perspective, is really helping companies and individuals develop their brand, both as a corporate brand or even as individuals. If you're looking for some help on how you can best position yourself in your own personal work as well. I want to thank Amanda. I want to thank everybody who commented and for joining in. If you want to find out more about me, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. My website is GailNow.com. And just reach out if you have any questions. If you even want to jump on a quick call, if you have any questions that have come up from this show or any other show and want to learn more about how you can sign up, suit up, and show up using your curiosity. Thanks, everyone. And I will see you next week. We have lots of great upcoming guests, and I hope you can join me again. Ciao.